Happy Thursday, everybody. I pray all is well. My name is Michael Gibson, and I'm talking about why I go to church. This week, I was truly inspired by someone that I was listening to, and it really just really piqued my interest. And the person was talking about planting seeds versus throwing seeds. But my original thought that came to my mind was to be eaten. And I wanted to kind of tie the two things together. Now, one may be wondering, what does this have to do with church? Well, everything can be tied back to our Creator God. And the point that I wanted to first talk about was to be eaten. The gift that you have, there's a seed inside of that gift. And when you have a fruit, aka gift, the only way to get to the seed of the fruit, it has to be consumed to get to the seed. So if you have an avocado, it has a very big seed on the inside of it. You got to cut the avocado, then the seed is presentable. If you have, like grapes, the seeds are in the middle. Plums, the seeds are in the middle. Apples, the seeds are in the middle. Many of us have gifts from God, but we don't want to be consumed, to be eaten. So for someone to eat your gift, that means they must be partaking of the things that you do. You must be presentable in order for someone to partake of it. So I want to encourage you to don't go out half-baked, half-cocked, and be an undesirable fruit. So I go to church because I want to be eaten. I don't want to be selfish. I know the gift is within me, but the gift truly is not for me. Many of us think that the gift is for you. Now, the gift will, make room for you, and you will be exalted, and you will be able to be put in front of men. But in order for that to happen, you actually have to take time to actually seed and plant your gift itself, because the word says that the seed is within itself. So the gift that you have is actually on the inside of you. It's the seed that God placed on the inside of you. And you got to take time to nourish it. You got to take time to develop it. You got to take time to grow it. You got to take time to actually allow that thing to be perfected. In other words, to be matured, so that someone else actually can consume it. Hey, Margaret. So I'm just thinking about that. I want to be consumed. I really do. I want to be consumed because I believe that the gift that God has for me can bless somebody else's life. The gift that God placed inside of me needs to be consumed by someone else, because the gift that God gives us is for the perfecting of the body. It's for the perfecting of the body. So the body needs all type of nutrients. And if we are not provided the necessary nutrients, then the body is not functioning properly. So we need everybody using their gift to be put on display like a buffet. And we allow people to come and partake of the gift that we have. So if you're not willing to be consumed, you really are selfish in what you have, because the gift is within you, but the gift is not for you. Because in order for your seed to go into someone else, they must first partake of what you have to offer. And when they partake of what you have to offer, that's how they get to the seed. Like I said, if you have an avocado, the only way for you to get to the avocado seed, you have to break open the avocado. The only way for you to get to the apple seed, you have to break open the apple. You actually have to partake of the apple. But if the apple is presentable and delicious enough, most people will just eat the apple and not just go after the seed. And what God was showing me is that He wants us to be like these fruits in the natural. The seed is within inside of us. But the apple tree must take time to develop. That seed just didn't become an apple tree overnight. That seed actually had to be planted somewhere. It actually had to take time to develop. It actually had to take time to grow to maturity, because when you grow fruit, not all fruit is consumable. Sometimes that fruit grows on a tree and it just doesn't mature for some reason, and you got to discard of it. God wants us to get in a place where we feed on this word enough, that we consume on this word enough, that when we get plucked off to be consumed by the world, because we are supposed to be the light in the darkness. So in Matthew 5, it talks about a candle not being put underneath a bushel. And then it says, let your light so shine. The purpose of our fruit is to be consumed by the world. Our fruit will be our light in whatever vein, whatever lane that God has for us. And when I was listening to the message by one of my friends, she talked about, are you planting seed? Are you throwing seed? And what I got from that was many of us are throwing our seeds at people. People are not wanting to consume our seed. We are throwing our seed at people, and a seed thrown most likely will not take root in somebody. A seed thrown most likely won't make a difference in someone's life, because that person actually isn't even asking for the seed. You're just throwing it down willy-nilly, and you're not actually taking the time. Because when you want a harvest in someone's life, if you want someone to partake and consume of whatever you have to offer of your God-given talent, you're gonna take some time to plant that seed in the right weather, in the right environment, under the right conditions, and you actually are going to nurture it and take care of it, because you are expecting a harvest from your seed. Stop throwing seeds at people. Stop spewing and saying, I'm so gifted, I'm so anointed, I'm so talented, I'm so this. The Bible says that you got to become all things to all people. Now, becoming all things to all people doesn't mean that you compromise in the ways and the things of God. But what it's saying is you have to learn when it's time to throw your seed versus plant your seed. You can't go everywhere just taking your Bible out and saying that I'm this and I'm that, and you must listen to me because, it's heaven or hell, holiness or hell, and whatever. Now, I believe holiness is right. I believe in all of that. However, you got to use wisdom when throwing your seed out versus planting your seed. Because when your fruit is presentable, someone will want to eat of your seed. So a situation happened at my job where a young man and his wife were expecting a child. Now, they had tried many times to have an additional child. So they already had one child. They kept having miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. So this last time, he had got news that there was a problem in the womb of their child. And before work, he said, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. I'm an open book. Talk to me. Because he knew about the situation with my first child and losing my child. And I told him if he ever needed to talk, I'm here for you. I know you've been through miscarriages. I know the pain. I know the anguish. I know what it feels like. But he came into work and he said, this is what the doctor says. But will you pray for me? I was blown away. Because he knows that I'm a faith person. He knows what I believe, but I don't always go and be like, I just want to pray for you. People know where I stand. People know what I believe, but I just don't go asking people, do you want prayer? But however, my fruit was presentable. My fruit was in a position to be eaten. He saw the happiness and the joy that I now have. And he actually came to me and said, will you pray for me? So I asked him, what was the situation? And then I began to say, well, you don't have to have that much faith, but you should align your faith with someone else's faith. And as I began to pray for this young man, pray for his wife, pray for the unborn child, the things that they said was wrong with the child didn't happen. And I'm happy to say that this young man now has a beautiful baby in their home or in their life. They just had the baby. But I was just happy that I was in a position to be eaten, that I actually took time to stand on what I believe in and represent Christ in a way that someone still believes in that prayer works, that someone still believes in the power of God, that someone still says, you know what, if I can get to a place where someone can get a prayer through, I know somebody that can get a prayer through. And that just made me feel so good, because I realize that I'm not just throwing the seed, but I'm actually planting the seed by the life that I live, the conduct, by the things I say. And I think we all should want to be in a position to be eaten. We should want to be in a position where people want to consume the things that we have, that we are desirable enough that people will want to choose to partake in the gift that we have versus the trinkets of the world. Because the trinkets of the world will come shiny, but they will also leave you injured usually. Usually it doesn't end well. It might taste good going down, but coming out, it don't feel good. When you partake of the things of God, it may not always feel good going in, but it should be a blessing coming out. And I'm not trying to say this is a blessing message. I'm just saying that when you take time to plant seed versus throw seed at people, we got to realize is that the word that is going to draw the people, but it's the word inside of us. When people see the light in their dark situation, they know that there's a level of integrity, they know that there's a level of sympathy, they know that there is a level of empathy, they know that there is a level of compassion. We can no longer say that I have all the answers but still not be compassionate. No one will want to partake of us if our answer is just take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. When you're dealing with a loss, when you're dealing with a trauma, when you're dealing with a very serious situation, you don't want someone just to say, take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. Because for most people, if you haven't walked with God, that means absolutely nothing with you. But I can promise you that if you present yourself in a presentable way, and if you allow yourself to actually be planted in a local assembly and allow your gifts of time to become fruit. I said to become fruit, because you can have a seed that God put inside of you. And I've already talked about the seed that God put inside of you is anointed enough to bring forth life. But you still got to take the time to allow that seed to actually be presentable fruit. I honestly feel we have a lot of people that are using that seed that God has given them, but they haven't taken that time to be presentable enough for people to be consumers of what they have. And if they're presentable enough for people to actually want to consume them, I believe loving God and falling in love with Jesus is one of the best things that I've ever done. Falling absolutely head over heels in love with the ways of God. And that's one of the reasons that I go to church, because I realize that the gift that God has and planted inside of me is not for me. It's for someone else. It's for someone else to consume. And if I put myself in a position in a community where people are offering their fruit, it should be like a market that you can go in the market. So when I need a little bit of peace, I know somebody that has that peaceable spirit about them. When I need a little bit of joy, I know somebody that has that joyous spirit about them. When I need just a little extra faith, I know that person that has that faith word inside of them. When I need a little bit of wisdom, I know that person that is that wise counsel that I can go to them. When I just need a little bit of fun and excitement, I know that person that is energetic, that can lift me up, that can give me that word of encouragement. When we actually go into our church and when we actually stay planted long enough, when we actually digest in this word, it should be like going into the market where everything that we need is in the body. Everything that we need is in the body. So if there's any lack, someone can just literally go to the market, look on the shelf, and see what is there and what is available. So when we put ourselves in a position to be consumed, that means that we have gone through the process of growing up. It means that we have gone through the process of actually not just being a bud, but survived some of the harshness that fruit have to go through, whether that's the rain, whether that's the sun, whether that's the predators, whether that's just natural bugs and things like that. We have survived all of that. You got to stay in this word long enough to survive all of that, because this life, You're going to have different seasons. You're going to have rain. You're going to have some dry days. You're going to have some predators. You're going to have some nuisance bugs trying to contaminate what God has placed inside of you, because the enemy is always after the fruit of God. Because if we are presentable fruit, our seed eventually will be placed inside somebody else. And that person will consume what God has, and that's a seed. And then they will become a seed, and they will become a seed, and they will become a seed. They will take the seed, grow to be fruit, and then their fruit will be consumed. The gift is within you, but it's not necessarily for you. Your gift is to be consumed by the world. But we got to be in a position to have our fruit edible. I don't know any other way to say it. Our fruit needs to be edible. Our fruit needs to be good enough that someone would want to consume it. But as I stated before, to become all things to all people doesn't mean we need to compromise in the ways of God. But what it means is that sometimes you got to know when to plant your seed and not always throwing seed. So when you meet somebody that don't know Christ, it's probably not a good move just to say you're going to hell because you don't know Christ. It's probably not the best move. I probably wouldn't really want to hear from you when you come with that tact. Because people that are in darkness, when they see light, they recognize that they're in darkness. And we want to compel people to come with love and kindness. That doesn't mean that you go somewhere and you get high with them. That's not what you're doing. I'm not saying that you want to compromise your integrity, but you don't necessarily condemn somebody for what they're doing. And usually when they see the light in you, whatever they are doing, they will stop doing, because they see the value in what you have to offer. Position yourself to be eaten, because we are fruit. So whatever that seed that God placed inside of you, take the time to allow yourself to become fruit, because we all are fruit. And when we go to church, it should be like going into the market. Everything we need, I believe, is in God's house when we allow ourselves to be mature enough and stay long enough to be planted. So that's why I say I go to church, because I want to be eaten. And I want to actually plant seed and not throw seed. Because when you throw seed, I don't know if you expect a harvest or a return, because you're liable to throw it anywhere. But when you plant seed, there is a level of expectation. There is a level of expectation. And you will never receive above the level of your expectations. And your planning, your preparations lets me know what you are expecting. Your planning and preparation lets me know what you are expecting. So I'm expecting to be a desired fruit. I'm expecting to be a desired fruit. And the only way to make my fruit more desirable, I must be in a place where nourishment is. The greatest nourishment for a believer is in the Word. The greatest nourishment for a believer is the Word. We need the Word, we need His Spirit, and we need a shepherd. You need the Word, you need His Spirit, and you need a shepherd. Just my personal belief. You need the Word, you need His Spirit, you need a shepherd, and you need to be in the marketplace. Because in the marketplace, there is something for all of us. In the marketplace, there will be another fruit that can help you and nourish you. Some of us think that we can just be a banana, but a banana only provides you with a level of potassium. A level of potassium is what banana provides, but you're not really getting a high dose of vitamin C from a banana. You're not. So if you eat bananas all day, you're going to have issues. You want to be in a place where you can get a banana, where you can get some oranges, where you can get an apple, where you can eat some grapes, where you can get some kiwi, where you can have some strawberry, where there is some broccoli, where there is some carrots, where there is some potatoes, where there's just a variety of things for us to eat. So I just know in my heart, you got to be in the Word. You got to be under some type of pastor, some type of shepherding, someone that is actually providing some type of framework. But I think you need to be in the marketplace too, because your gift is not for you, it's for someone else. So your gift does no good sitting at home by yourself, because no one is in a position to be able to consume what you have to offer. Because again, an apple tree doesn't eat apples. Just saying. Your gift is within you, but it's for somebody else. So I want to challenge anybody that listens to this video to put yourself in a position to be eaten, to be consumed. Put yourself in a position to be desirable for someone to want to come to you and say, will you pray for me? For someone to want to come to you and say, can you do this for me? Whatever that thing is that you do for the kingdom. Because this is all about building up God's house and not building up your house. This is all about letting God's name be glorified through the acts that we do. Our gift is not necessarily for us to be in the spotlight. When you are humble enough, the gift that you have will put you in a position for God to be exalted. That's being consumed. That's when that gift is really consumed and God is really getting the glory, because the seed that birthed your gift came from God. And if you take that God-given seed and allow somebody else to consume it, that will be a God-given seed inside somebody's life. If this message has blessed you in any way, I ask that you share it out. But this is Michael Gibson, and it's why I go to church. I want to be eaten. I want to make sure that I am planting seed and not throwing seeds at people, because we are to win souls. And the word says that he that winneth souls is wise. And I hope and pray that I will always stay a desirable fruit for people to want to consume. Have a blessed day, and thank you for your time.